Guarding America, defending freedom.
It's double trouble, double the fun at African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton, Ohio. See the largest antelope on Earth, the giant eland, and the ugliest creature on Earth, the African warthog. There's so much to see and do, including the Midwest's only drive-through safari. Feed the animals, see live educational shows, feel the excitement. Have your picture taken with a python or cockatoo. Feel the adventure. Shop the Simba Lodge gift shop with items available from around the globe. Visit the snack bar or picnic facilities. Enjoy a pony or camel ride. Or cheer your favorite porker on to victory in the famous Pork Chop Down. Bring your family to see the rare and exotic animals at African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton, Ohio. Just take Route 2 to the Route 53 North exit and follow the sign. Only 17 miles west of Cedar Point via Route 6. Open every day, rain or shine.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Oh, there's others.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you can save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike, you know...
Right,
dance with me, purple cow. I like your move.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be hard. Like early 90s heavy metal hard.
I'm yelling and screaming and I'm loud. Roar.
Geico makes it easy. You can review and update your policy or report a claim on Geico.com or the Geico mobile app. Because shouldn't we all have a little less stress in our lives?
I'm not even upset about anything.
All right, and welcome back to The Balance. My name's Tom Marquis, El Presidente. Thanks to Steve Willson for joining us in our NASCAR segment, talking with us a little bit about NASCAR in Pocono and Iowa this weekend as well. We broke down the power drivers as well. But it's time to get into our 2018 NFL preview, and to help us do that is our executive producer, Rick Riggin, and ed-kracz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles, and official NFL contributor to The Balance. Good morning, Ed. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I'm doing well.
Appreciate you taking some time to join us. I know you're driving a group of people to the beach. It's a rough job you got there. Rick Riggin, how you doing, sir?
Hey, not too bad this morning, Tom. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Never get it. Amen. It is back in May. Back-ish. So certainly all the camps, folks, we're going to kind of go through this over the next hour. I know Mo's going to be joining us here in about a half hour, and I don't know how long Ed can stay on, so whatever. But we're going to break down as many teams as we can break down in the next hour or so. So NFL preview, let's get started on it as we've got a lot to cover. So we'll start in your home background there, Ed, so we make sure that we get them in. The Philadelphia Eagles break camp. Give us a look into camp. What's going on over there with the Eagles? Super Bowl champions Eagles, that is.
Yeah, it still sounds a little odd to say that, but they opened camp a little later than I think a lot of teams did. They didn't open camp until Thursday was their first practice. They reported on Wednesday, so they're kind of just firing up the training camp. In fact, today they put pads on for the first time. They're practicing right now in full pads. Of course, the big question with the Eagles is, will Carson Wentz start the season opener, which comes up in about 5 weeks against the Atlanta Falcons in a kind of a rematch of that divisional round playoff game that the Eagles hung on to win 15-10. But the question is, will Wentz be ready? He looks terrific. He was cleared the day before camp to participate in 11-on-11 drills, which was a change from the spring where he just did 7-on-7 work, in the OTAs and then the mini camp. But he's allowed now to participate in 11-on-11. his next step would be cleared for contact. That step has not happened yet. There's no timeline on when that'll happen. So really, that's kind of what everybody's looking at. And it was interesting in the first day of practice, during one of the practices, he's got a lot of rush around him now in those 11-on-11s. So that's a little different than 7-on-7s. You don't really have a pass rush. But, in those 11-on-11 drills, you have a pass rush. There was a lot of traffic around him on some of his throws, and he looked very comfortable. In fact, after he delivered one pass, a rookie defensive end, Josh Sweat, from the University of Florida, gave him kind of a little bump after he threw the ball and knocked Wentz off balance, but he was fine. But you wonder if maybe the coaching staff didn't pull the rookie away and say, "Look, he's our meal ticket. You stay away from him. He's not allowed contact." But that's kind of where the Eagles are right now. And that's it. Wentz, how is he going to be in a couple weeks? Will he play in any preseason games? Of course, they have Nick Foles if Wentz isn't ready.
Rick, go ahead. Fire away, sir.
Well, if you're going to ask me about the Philadelphia Eagles, you got ed-kracz on, so I don't know what you're coming to me for on the Eagles.
I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you because you're the next guy in line. We want to keep you in the conversation. You can ask Rick anything about the Eagles. If you don't have any questions about it, just say pass. No, I'm just kidding with you, buddy.
I would say in the NFC at least, I feel it's a 2 to 3 horse race now because what the Rams are building. Out in L.A., and then I do think that at Atlanta, the second season under Steve Sarkisian, that offense is going to get it rolling again. So I think it's a 3-horse race in the NFC this year.
Ed?
Yeah, the Rams are getting a lot of love. There's no doubt about it. They're handing out money hand over fist out there. They signed Gurley. They signed Brandon Cooks, the receiver, but. Here's Aaron Donald, who still isn't getting paid and still hasn't shown up in camp. Arguably the best defensive lineman in the NFL, and he's not happy with his contract. So, you wonder about that. Will that affect the team in any shape or form early on if they don't get a deal done with Aaron Donald? The Rams are doing a lot of good things. We'll see if Goff can continue to take that next step under McVay. They certainly added a lot in the offseason, and they're getting a lot of love for a lot of reasons. And then you mentioned the Falcons, Rick, and there was the talk that Julio Jones might not report to camp because he wasn't happy with his contract. But he showed up. They got a deal done, I guess, and everybody's happy in Atlanta. So the Falcons, remember they were the NFC representative 2 years ago. So there's no reason why they can't challenge to be a Super Bowl contender again this year.
Ed, staying on the Eagles real quickly before we move on to the next team, I wanted to get your thoughts on your wide receiver there, Nelson Alger, if I'm saying that name right. He had a breakout year. 2015, certainly was the year you brought him in the fold. He's not quite made the leap. It's 2018 the year that he gets to the Pro Bowl?
Well, that's a good question. They picked up their fifth-year option, the rookie option on him. He was the leading receiver in terms of catches in the Super Bowl. He caught nine passes. He had that breakout year last year. He had 2 very disappointing years after being the number 1 pick out of USC in 2015. But when you look at, the coaching staff he had, he was under Chip Kelly to start, then Doug Peterson came in. But last year, it was his 3rd different wide receiver coach in 3 years in the league. So there's some stability at that, with Doug Peterson being the head coach now. I think, he could be a Pro Bowl guy. I just think that the Eagles, the way they operate this offense, though, they like to spread the ball around. There's no one go-to guy. So to expect him to have the kind of numbers that will dictate him landing in the Pro Bowl, I think are a little far-fetched. I think he'll have another great year, another terrific season. But I also think that the way the Eagles' offense is predicated, there's not one guy that's going to stand out with 1,000 yards. You might have a 1,000-yard receiver. I'd be surprised because you have Zach Ertz. You have this rookie they drafted, Dallas Goedert, at tight end out of South Dakota State, who they love, who has looked good in camp. They have Alshon Jeffrey. They have Mike Wallace now, who they upgraded from Torrey Smith with. There's a lot of weapons on that offensive side of the ball, and I don't think Aguilar will get enough yards and catches to warrant a Pro Bowl spot. But that doesn't mean he won't have a great year.
We're talking with Ed Kratz, our official contributor to the Balanced NFL contributor and beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles, USA Today, executive producer Rick Riggin. Hey, Rick, you and I can do a selfless promotion here real quick. The Balance is bringing back Breaking Rank. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with that, sir.
Breaking Rank, August 22nd. That's a Wednesday night, 2 weeks before the opening day of college football season. We break down the top 25 of college football. We really dive into the rankings there, who's deserving, who really isn't. We don't do it in the mothership way, the way ESPN does it, where they just love everybody. If we don't feel a team is deserving of a rank, we're going to talk about it and tell you the reason why. So, Breaking Rank, August 22nd, Wednesday night.
So the elite college football teams, right?
Yeah, we're not going to bring up Iowa. We're not going to bring Iowa's kind of there. They'll be top 25. We're not going to bring up Rutgers and Kansas like you did last week, and trying to break down, Rutgers football or something.
Hey, they're a Big Ten. We had to give them some love. All right, guys, get into the Colts. Obviously, that's right here in our backyard. Colts broke camp this week up in the north suburbs of Indianapolis. Their brand new spot up there at Grant Park. They kind of made the decision to break away from Anderson University. As you know, in the past, they had been out at Rose-Hulman, but they are up in the north suburbs of Westfield at Grant Park. Beautiful facility. A lot of activities for fans. The fan zones out there. Certainly a lot of interactions. There's autograph sessions. So I encourage you to go out there. They've got a night practice this Sunday night. And I think next week is when they have the joint practice with the Baltimore Ravens. So that'll be very interesting. But let's kind of talk about the elephant in the room, if you will, guys. Andrew Luck is throwing a football, is throwing a real football. Although he did throw an interception in practice this week, so I guess it's going to be a terrible season for the Colts. I'm making a joke there because, Rick, we'll go to you first because you had a hot take on Andrew Luck, and we'll go with that, and then we'll get thoughts from Ed, and we'll talk a little bit about the running backs before we go on to your Detroit Lions. Go ahead, Rick.
All right, so, Andrew's throwing the football, and, it's got everybody convinced he's back. Will be full speed this year, and I just want to know really what's 100% for him now, because his 100% 2 or 3 years ago, and now having a surgery like you did, now you got a whole new different 100%, and you play completely different. It's that on top of I am not convinced in any way, shape, or form that he's going to put in a full season. I think he's going to give the Colts about 7 or 8 games. Another injury is going to happen because that's what happens there at Indianapolis. I know they got Quentin Nelson to help with the line some. I just think that Andrew Luck is a little bit of a porcelain doll here, and I don't think he's going to put in a full season. So I am still convinced that Andrew Luck is a bust. That is my hot take. I don't think he's going to put in a full season this year. So, Ed, what are your thoughts on that?
Wow. Well, the Colts better hope he can give them more than 7 or 8 games if they want to have any kind of success in a division, which we've talked about. I think is one of the stronger ones in the NFL now, the AFC South. So, that's going to be a tough division, and they need Andrew Luck to stay healthy. I mean, you might be right, Rick. Maybe he is just going to wash out of this league. It's a pretty serious injury he had, and I think I saw a report that said that he wasn't feeling as much pain in his shoulder, which indicates that he might still be feeling pain, but it's not as significant. So, who the heck knows until, we get a little deeper into camp here and maybe see him participate in the preseason, whether or not he can go out there and throw 30 to 40 passes in a game and then come out of it and have the shoulder feel okay. You're right. I wonder if he can do that anymore at this point, but, we're going to find out sooner rather than later right now.
Well, certainly I think Frank Reich has won over the press here. I think I've mentioned it before. He's a great fit for the Colts. He seems to be an honest, transparent guy. And if we're to go with his pressers, here's his plan. We've got a plan in place. We're going to utilize Luck the best that we can. We have a plan in place if things doesn't happen the way we want it to plan. We will adjust our plan accordingly. Now, I know a lot of that might be lip service, but, he is throwing. He'll have regular veteran which Frank Reich said going into Seattle for the preseason. The Seattle Seahawks preseason game. They expect him to play at least a series, or maybe a little bit more than one series, but not much more than that. And then certainly as we get into further down to the preseason games, they'll carry him on into the second half. They certainly do believe that he will do well